Okay, so this is our latest auction that we came back from, and we got three things, and that was it. I mean, everything else I got outbid on, but these are the three things that we did get. We got 12 gauge wire, three spools or three partial spools. And I looked at this and I figured there's 1,000 feet of wire here. So 1,000 feet stripped down weighs 20 pounds. So I'm guessing that this is about $90 worth. This is some Cat 6, an installation kit that comes complete with like the crimpers and the pieces that you need to plug into your computers or whatever. And it comes with 500 feet of cat wire. 1,000 feet of cat wire weighs anywhere between 20 and 30 pounds. So there's 500 feet here, so I'm guessing that there's at least 10 to 15 pounds of cat wire in there. See, I bid $7 on this, and then with the fees and everything, 70 cents for the fee, 47 cents for the tax. So I paid $8.17 for this, so I'm guessing I could make 10 to 12 bucks on this. This one here, I spent $60 on the bid, and then there was a $6 fee and a $4.05 tax for a total of $70.05. Like I said, I think I can turn this into $90. And then this is like a mystery thing. This was plumber supply, and it in the pictures I could see that there was some copper, there was some brass, and I bid it to $36. And with a 360 fee and a 243 tax, it comes to a total of $42.03. So my goal on all of this is when I bid on something, I usually like to turn it into at least a 20 to 30% profit. So we spent a total of $120.25 on all these, and 20 to 30% gain would mean we have to turn this into $144 to $156. That's our plan. So, like I said, I think I can turn this into 90. I think I can turn this into about, let's say $11. So then that means we need to turn this into about 40 bucks, 50 bucks. And so let's go ahead and see what we can do with it. But before we get on to that, I'll show you the latest scrap run. I've been trying to hold out for that $5 copper mark, and it just never quite hit it, but I did end up turning some scrap in. Let me show you what we did. So we ended up getting $4.73 a pound for bear bright. 91 pounds for $430.43, and we ended up having 291 pounds of number 2 copper, and that paid $4.51, so $1,312.41 gave us a grand total of $1,742.84. So I don't know if the price is going to go up or down. I was reading an article, and the one article was saying that they think the copper may have hit its high and may start declining. So I was just like, I'm just going to get rid of it. Maybe we won't hit that $5. But I know that some people have put in the comments that they have turned in copper for $5 a pound. So some places around the United States are paying $5. We just never quite got there. We're at $4.73. But hey, that's pretty decent. That's pretty decent, because most of this copper that I had on hand when I did my videos, it was at about like maybe $4.50 or $4.40. So that was a pretty decent increase on the copper that I was holding on to. So made out a little bit holding on to it. All right, so let's get back to this auction. All right, so let's do the easy thing first. We'll just take this Cat 6 wire, because there's really nothing we got to do for it. So in it came this little kit. So here's the kit that came with it. I don't have any use for this, but I have a kit now. Now let's check. See the wire. Is there 500 feet in here? Here it is. I don't know if it weighs 15 pounds. Let's check it out. Set the scale at 0. Put it on here. So we got 10.2 pounds. All right, so get this out of here. Let's see if we can get 1,000 feet out of this. Or, like I said, 20 pounds of wire. That's what 1,000 feet equals. So hopefully at least 20 pounds of Bear Bright once it's stripped down. So we'll get on to that. All right, so this is our stripper stand. We actually bought that at an auction. It came with some wire in one of my past videos, if you remember. We just kept that, and we use it when we're stripping spools. Works real good. All right, so we got that all set up. Let's go ahead and start stripping. Remember, I estimated 1,000 foot of wire, and when you take 12 gauge wire and you strip it down, when you get down to Bear Bright, 1,000 foot of it will weigh 20.16 pounds. And then you multiply that by your scrapyard price, and that's a good way to indicate the value that you have. So, like I said, I got 1,000 foot, I think. I should have 20 pounds when it's all done and stripped. So let's go ahead and strip it down and see how close we were on this. So this is the pile that we ended up with out of those 3 rolls. Let's go ahead and weigh it up and see if we got our 20 pounds. So we'll put this tub on here, turn our scale on. So we're at zeros. All right, it comes up to 18.3. Not quite what I was expecting. I was hoping for 20 pounds. 18.3 pounds. All right, so we are roughly at about $100. So now we need to get about 45, 50 bucks out of this plumbing lot to get us to within our 20% range, 30% range. So let's go ahead and start going through some of this stuff here. So I looked at this right here. Look at this. This is a bag full of what looks to be copper, but you can see this is just spray painted. Oh, there's a couple of, okay, so there's some fittings in here that are copper. Let me get my magnet here. Yeah, look at that. That's just spray painted steel. Now, who would do that? Did the auction do this to fool me? I don't know. All right, so looks like we got some steel, a little bit of copper in there. There's some brass in here. These flexible, these are stainless steel. Yeah. So let's set that one aside. Put this one up here. Oh yeah, that one looks promising there. There's a good chunk of brass in there. All right. This one has, looks like a mixture of brass, and I'm sure there's some steel in there. All right. We already did this one. This is just all plastic except for this little pail right here. This pail has some brass in it, and then this is just all plastic. And then we got the big tote. Well, that looks pretty promising. Let's bring you up here. So in this pail here, looks like we got some brushes, some solder. Throw that over there. Yeah, a lot of some more solder. Some more solder. Yeah, we got some brass. Looks like a lot of brass and a lot of copper. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'll go ahead and separate all this out, and it looks like we're going to end up with some brass, some copper, and some steel. So I'll set you up and I'll just go ahead and separate this stuff real quick. And we need like 45, 50 bucks out of this. All right, so I got a nice hefty box of brass here. Got some stainless steel, and this is all copper here. So I'm gonna go ahead and break it down further and double check the brass and make sure it's brass, and I'll get back with you. All right, so I'm done separating all this. I took a little extra time and broke all that brass down, took all the handles off and got all the little gaskets and everything out of it just so it's clean brass. And then we had a mess of stainless steel here. This bucket's about ready to break. So let's go ahead and weigh it up. All right, so I got this on there zeroed out. And for the stainless, let's just. Yeah, bucket's all broke. All right, so we come up with, stainless don't pay much. 11.25 pounds for stainless. It's 30 cents a pound. All right, so let me go dump this in my stainless. All right, so we're zeroed out again. Let's do the brass. Good chunk of brass there. Yeah, 13.3 pounds. It's looking pretty good. We needed, I said, 45 to 50 bucks to get our goal. So 13.3. All right, let me put this on here. Tear that out and we'll put the copper in. So this is all going to be There's a couple pieces of number 1, but it's all number 2. So every time I go to the scrapyard, if they see fittings, they count it as number 2. Anything that has threads on it, they count as number 2. Like this little pipe right here, you would think that would be a number 1 pipe, but it's got threads on it. They'll downgrade it to number 2. So this is all going to be number 2. Sounds good. Yep. I got a little piece of stainless in there. Get that out of there. All right, so there's our copper and 15.1 pounds. Yeah, I think we're gonna make our goal. All right, let's add up all the numbers and see how we did on this auction. All right, so these numbers turned out a little better than I was expecting, so that's a good thing here. Actually, I was thinking I was gonna make the money on the wire, but that ended up coming up short, and I took a chance on the brass and the copper that was in them tubs, and that turned out pretty darn good. So let me get the rundown here. All right, so on the cat wire, we ended up with 10.2 pounds at $1.28, gives us $13.06. I think we spent $8, a little over $8 on that. So on the plumber supply, we spent $42.03 on it, and we ended up with 13.3 pounds of brass at $2.50, 15.1 pounds of copper at $4.51, and 11.25 pounds of stainless steel at 30 cents a pound, and that gave us, look at that, $33.25 for the brass, $68.10 for the copper, $3.38 for the stainless, for a total of $104.73. Let's see, and the Bear Bright wire that we had, 18.3 pounds at $4.73, give us $86.56. And I wanted a total of at least $144 to $156, and we end up with $204.35. All right, so as that turned out, it turned out to be a great auction there. So almost doubling our money. Not quite, but better than the 20 to 30% that I was expecting. All right, that's great. All right, and I didn't even throw in the steel there. I'm just gonna probably keep that because there was a lot of good stuff in there. Okay, so that's gonna do it for this video here. I gotta get my scrap to the scrapyard so we can get paid. All right, we'll see you on the next video.